Alright, so this project I've been talking about for a while, but it's almost fall and firewood is on the mind, so I wanted to turn this into a skid steer splitter. It's currently a 3-point splitter, which I believe was like an afterthought, or it was modified to fit whatever tractor it was used on back in the day. It fits mine just like this pretty well, but it would be a lot more functional, useful if it was on the front of the skid steer. And less labor intensive. So I got this skid steer plate here, but first we need to start cutting some of this 3-point stuff off. I also need to cut this loading platform off that I use to roll my big chunks up and get them up on the splitter. So let's get the torches out and start working on this. I'll just set that aside. If I ever need to turn a piece of equipment into 3-point hitch compatible, I can just reuse this. Weld it on. welded this plate on here just because when this is flipped over and you're setting it down to pick up a round or whatever, it'll keep the cylinder, the back of the cylinder, and the bottom of your skid steer quick attach plate up off the ground. So I got to flip this thing over now, and then we'll do some welding on the other side, and then I want to hook it up and see this hose. I'm worried about if that's going to be long enough or not, and then we got to go get some quick attach couplings, flat face couplings for the skid steer. I do think I'm gonna have to extend this hose a little bit, because by the time I tilt this forward, if I tilt that forward or whatever, it's gonna be too short. I'd like to add about a foot to this hose. This one should be pretty good. So take one of these off, and then we'll go get some couplers and maybe a little bit of extension made for this hose here. stopped on my buddies. I got that steel that I braced this up with. I feel like it's pretty stout now. It's not going to move this way laterally, which I was kind of worried about, especially when you've got, you know, quite a moment down there. This thing's probably like almost 6 feet long, so let's see. This, which one's the short one? This one. So I got this short piece of hose made, 1/2-inch hose. This should thread right onto there. That's flared fitting, so I shouldn't need any pipe dope or anything like that. That shouldn't leak. Hope. These weren't cheap. They were about 65 bucks each, so. Never supposed to use Teflon on hydraulic fittings because it'll get into your valves and it'll make a mess. And I cringe every time I see a new piece of equipment with Teflon on the hydraulic connections. I don't know why manufacturers think that's alright. They can be fun sometimes. Well, that thing is quite the improvement over the 3-point version. I'm really happy with that. You know, I used it for about 3 hours to split all of this, which I would guess is close to 12 cords of wood. We'll do a walk around here in a minute, but yeah, it worked great. I was hoping, you know, it would either not break or I would find the weak point and be able to fix it, and it worked flawlessly. Little bit clumsy at first, getting used to lining the wood up. My biggest problem was you can't see the wedge up here, and I was trying to line the far edge of the round up with the wedge, and you just can't do that. So what I learned to do is, you can see I don't know, I'm drawing a blank. What would you call that? Plunger? The end of the cylinder, but I don't know what you actually call that piece. I guess I need to brush up on my wood splitter anatomy, but anyway, I lined this up with the closer edge of the round, and after that I would lower basically the front of the splitter down over the end of the round, and then squeeze it and split it. So couple things I want to do probably to this in the near future, or at least by next season, is I want to put a 4-way wedge on here. So I'll probably just buy something and weld it on. Other than that, might weld like a little basket up here or something that I can stick my saw in. So if I get out there and there's some rounds that are too big for the splitter, I've got my saw out there, and I can use that to chunk them down a little bit smaller and split them that way. So really happy with it. I got all of this wood split in, I mean, obviously not everything needed split, but I would say a good 60%, 70% of this stuff is split wood that was real big rounds that I didn't want to handle whole. And there's a ton of firewood here. This is all red oak pretty much. For the most part, there's maybe a little bit of cherry and a little bit of maple in there, but this is stuff that the guy logging next door pulled out for me as dropped tops, and I chunked it all up, and we have a pile here. This is probably 2 years worth of firewood, and I haven't even got to all of the ash that I have laying on the ground. I still have to chunk all that up, and I'm probably going to burn that first and let this kind of season for a while, because red oak is notoriously slow to season. So yeah, if you guys stick around, probably in the next 2-3 videos you'll see this build. This is going to be a nice woodshed, long awaited woodshed. Never had one since I moved in here. I've always kind of piled it like this and tarped it, but this is going to be a huge advantage in the winter when it's kind of snowing and icy and everything else, because it's a pain once this stuff gets snow and ice on it to you know, pick it out of that pile. It becomes a lot harder than it is right now when it's just nice and dry and not stuck together. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this project. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, share it with your buddies, leave me a comment, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.